Good evening, everybody. Welcome to tonight's Board of Education meeting. If you'd please stand and join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, republic for which it stands. I'd like to have a moment of silence for the following individuals. Arthur Spears, a graduate of the North Syracuse Central School District. Bruce Boudin, a graduate of the North Syracuse Central School District. Susan Cook, a graduate of the North Syracuse Central School District. Richard Kopp, a graduate of the North Syracuse Central School District. Biagio Salerno, a graduate of the North Syracuse Central School District. And Donna Priano, a retiree of the North Syracuse Central School District. Thank you. We have a few presentations this evening. The first, we have our CNS High School Orchestra members to perform some holiday music. So Daryl, if you'd like to.
Good evening and welcome. My name is Daryl Redmond. I'm the Director of Fine Arts and Co-Curricular Activities, and it's my pleasure to have two of our CNS ensembles performing tonight. We have many more than that, but two of them are here. All of the groups have been going out and doing many performances in the community. So they pick and choose, and their schedules got to a point where they said, some of them can't make it tonight. But we are going to be starting with the CNS Orchestra. Select members from the group, please come on in, and they'll be playing a few selections for you. Board members and cabinet members, you do have a program, so you can follow along and keep score if you'd like. And the ensemble is under the direction of Mr. John Harnoy.
I feel special. Hello, we are a brass quintet from the Cicero North Syracuse High School, and we have these two songs for you guys. Hope you enjoy. Playing Silent Night, and it came upon the midnight clear.
Thank you again to the student performers tonight, and their teachers as well. The brass ensemble. Yes. And a special thank you to Caden so that I didn't have to announce the brass ensemble. It's always nice when someone else takes the microphone for a moment. So what you saw was just a small sampling of what goes on at the high school as well as across the district. We have a very big program that's continuing to grow. The students are involved in a lot of activities, and they don't happen without the support of you sitting out there, the friends, the family, teachers of the students from day one in kindergarten all the way through high school. So these are activities that the students are electing to take, and along with that, excel at them. And that's the next portion of this evening, is recognizing students that have been accepted to participate in the senior high all-county. So the first group of students, when I call your name, please just stand where you are for a moment. If you can hold applause until the students are standing, that would be nice and appreciated. And then I will call you forward to get your certificates. I'm going to start with members of the orchestra. Sophia Gabrielli, Emma Hoover, Elias Van Driesen, Lily Barrow, Michaela Spink, Brianna Kurpiowski, and I apologize if I did not get your name correct, and Abigail Gabel. Those are the members of the orchestra. He's not here. All right, thank you so much. See. The next group of students that I'd like to recognize are the members of the senior high all-county chorus. Same instructions. Let's see if you remember. And Rhea DeLuz, did I say that correctly? All right. Lucy Barrera, Alex Davenport, Chloe Dempiero, Penelope Lane, Brig Lieberman, and Ethan Maves. I think close enough. Those are the members of the senior high all-county chorus. Please come forward. And last but certainly not least, the members of the senior high all-county concert band. Jaden Hunkins, Emma Hearn, Andrea Iqbal, Kenzie Kaiser, Joshua Pills, Jamison Walker, and Emma Wall. And those are the members of the band. Please come on forward. Thank you. All right, thank you very much. And now I'm off to Rocks Middle for the Allen Road concert. Maybe I'll see some of you there.
Oh, all right, glad to see we still have a full house here, so. um, Don, if you'd like to go ahead with your budget assumption presentation.
Well, good evening. I'm hoping everybody didn't leave because they heard the budget was up next, but so it's hard to believe we're kicking off another budget season, and as usual, we start with some budget assumptions and just kind of looking generally at the financial condition of the district. So tonight I'm going to talk to you about a few factors that at this stage in the process we can consider or should consider. We'll look at our enrollment, our revenue assumptions, expenditure assumptions, fund balance and reserve, and a quick budget timeline. A lot of words up here. Excuse me. So as you know, inflation for the last 12 months is about 2.7%. And that's down. That's down from where it's been, but still above the 2% tax cap allowable limit. So what that means for us is we're going to absorb another 0.7% of inflation that we can't pass on in the tax levy. And I have listed there the inflation over the allowable levy growth factor for the last 4 years. It was 2.7% over in 22, 6% over in 23, 2.12% over in 24, and 0.7% over. So, you know, inflation over time really becomes difficult to absorb in our operating budgets. And I just think that's something we're gonna have to consider as we put our budgets together this year. 2 points on the labor market. It continues to be tight. You know, we are in a market where we have people retiring and we need to hire teachers. And so we're constantly out looking at teachers, and the market is just tight. We have thankfully settled a number of our labor contracts, and I think on terms and conditions that I hope will be attractive to our potential employees in a competitive market. But again, we have to consider the additional costs of those contracts as we go through our budget process. Although enrollment has consistently declined the past number of years, we currently have today 40 more students than we had in June of 2023. So as I've been saying since I got here, it's going to level off eventually. Maybe this is it. Hopefully it is leveling off. And enrollment obviously is a critical factor as we put our budget together. Our current budget doesn't include any federal stimulus aid, CRSA and ARP. Just to remind everybody, the stimulus money is over and done. And so currently we're relying on fund balance and reserves to sustain critical initiatives. And we're going to have to keep that in mind as we go into next year. And then unfortunately, as everybody knows, our students still have academic gaps and social and emotional issues that we're dealing with and trying to address and help them through. And we have to, consistent with our strategic plan, be committed to the social and emotional well-being of our kids, and that needs to be front and center in our budget process. Those are just a few items to consider. There'll be more as we move through the process. Just to explain the tax cap, I know we beat this to death every year, but the amount that we can grow the levy is limited to 2% or inflation, whichever is less. And in this case, since inflation's over 2%, we're going to be capped at 2%, as I mentioned on the previous slide. We look at the consumer price index. That's what drives our, measurement of inflation and the number we use. And I'll show you a chart in a moment. And as you can see from this chart, all items were 2.6%. Food was 2.1%. Energy was actually down 4.9%. And all other items, less food and energy, were up 3.3%. So inflation's a big factor, and it's something that we're going to have to really keep an eye on as we move into next year. Hopefully, we'll see a continued decline in inflation. That would certainly help us out. Looking at the state budget, New York's financial outlook is relatively stable, but we continue to have what's known in New York State as a structural deficit. There's about a $13.9 million forecasted deficit over the next 3 years that was forecasted by the state controller, Tom DiNapoli. This year, what we do know is that there are no elections. The governor, senators, assembly members are not going to be elected until 2026. And what does that mean to us? I think that means that less money will be forthcoming as a result of that. And the other thing we have hanging over our head is the Rockefeller Institute of Government just delivered their recommendations for improving the state's foundation aid. And I just want to remind everybody that this year, the 24-25 school year, is the first year the North Syracuse Central School District has received its full foundation aid. And I'm very nervous to see what the legislature is going to do with this foundation aid recommendation and how it's going to impact us. So we'll have to wait and see. The governor's budget will come out in December. Honestly, I think most of the deliberation about that report will take place between the middle of January, when the governor issues her budget, and the 1st of April, when we're supposed to have a budget complete. So we'll have to wait and see on that. Enrollment, as I mentioned, our enrollment appears to be leveling off, but I think there's a critical thing that we've talked about each year that I just want to remind people. Although our enrollment has declined, we've seen an decline in the economic status of our students. We have about 46.1% of our students that are entitled to free and reduced lunch. We've got 19.1% of our students that are classified with an IEP. They're students with disabilities or special needs. And we have about 2.4% of our population that are English language learners. And so while enrollment's down, the level of complexity is up. The needs of our kids have increased. And that's something we have to really pay attention to as we put the budget together. Revenue assumptions, general state aid. This is predominantly foundation aid. And again, the Rockefeller Institute report is going to drive some of the discussions, the deliberations that our legislature is going to have around funding of schools. It is a significant portion of our revenues. Real property taxes, again, the allowable lever growth factor is going to go up by 2%. So we will have a property tax increase that'll not cover the inflation. So we're gonna have to wrestle with that. And again, no stimulus aid will be included in our revenues. The vast majority of our revenues, 90% of our revenues, come from general state aid and real property taxes. On the expenditure side, health benefits, we like everybody else continue to see increases in our healthcare costs. I want to applaud the North Syracuse School District working with our teachers union, our health oversight committee. They've done a lot of great things to manage costs in the most effective way and also maintain benefits for employees. According to several sources, we're looking at another 8 to 9% increase in healthcare costs over the next year. And those are, predominantly driven by things like chronic health conditions and catastrophic health claims and new treatment technologies and prescription drugs. There's a lot happening on the medical front, and most of it's very expensive. Retirement costs, we got the TRS board, that's the Teachers Retirement System Board, met this fall, and they estimate that contribution rates for 25-26 will be somewhere between 9.5 and 10. That's not much of a, that shouldn't change very much. Our current rate's 10.11, so that's encouraging. And our ERS rates, once again, look like they're going to increase for the third year in a row from about 15.2 to 16.5%. Again, that sounds like a big increase, but that's probably very manageable. I mentioned earlier, salaries and wages, that we negotiated contracts, and most of our contracts will be about 4.25% increase for the 25-26 school year. And if you take those first three line items, health benefits, retirement costs, and salaries and wages, that's about 75% of our budget. Fuel costs, we have seen fuel costs. You saw it on the inflation chart. Fuel costs have been very manageable, and it's diesel and gasoline costs. And we continue to watch this. Hope it continues to with a positive trend. But keep in mind that we get transportation aid on what we actually spend. So to the extent that fuel costs go up or down, they only impact us by about 25% of the swing, because 75% of our costs are aidable. Energy costs, the district participates in an energy consortium, NSMIC, that's the New York State Municipal Energy Cooperative. We entered into a 3-year supply agreement this past May, which was pretty favorable, and our budget's going to reflect those new rates for electric and gas. Fund balance. So this is a weird chart, so I'm just going to be very, very clear with you. We ended the year last year with about $10 million in fund balance, about 4.72% of our budget. It's too early for me to tell you that we're going to run ahead of budget or behind budget. So at this stage of the game, I don't really know where our fund balance is going to be. But if we spend what we planned on spending and receive the revenues we expect to receive, we ought to have about $10 million at the end of the school year. So more to come on that as we get further into the school year. Relative to reserves, with the board's support, we've worked really hard to build up the district's reserves. And in all of the key areas, I want to just take just a second to walk down this list. So these are liabilities that the district knows we have that we've put money aside to cover. Tax certiorari, that's when predominantly corporations come and say, hey, my property isn't worth what you've assessed it at, therefore I should get a tax refund. And we have a number of matters that are currently being adjudicated. Working with our attorneys, they recommended this reserve of $2.3 million. That's what we have. Workman's comp. Unfortunately, people get hurt at work. We have a very active health and safety committee, both building level and district level. And we work very closely with our third-party administrator to try to manage these claims effectively, but they recommended a $4.2 million reserve, and that's what we have. A general liability reserve, there are so many different things that are that can hit the district. It seems responsible for a district with a $212 million budget, at least have $1 million set aside in case some uninsured liability comes forward. Capital reserve, we have a little over $8 million. We'll have about $8.2 million in the capital reserve at the end of next year. ERS, that's our employee retirement system. And so while I say this every year, I'm really thrilled to be a finance guy in New York State where the employee retirement system and the TRS, teachers retirement system, are so well managed and funded. There is always a small portion of that that's not funded. And we also have to protect ourselves if there's volatility in either its TRS or ERS rates. And therefore, we have a reserve established for that. The employee benefits liability, these are liabilities that we have to our employees, for when they leave the organization, things like sick day accruals and things like that. We have put in this employee benefit liability, and that's calculated specifically for our employees. So we'll have about $27.9 million in our reserves at the end of this year. And, it puts us in a good shape to deal with issues as they come up. We'll have a small balance in our debt service fund of about $651,000. What that is that sometimes we borrow money and for a capital project, and maybe that capital project comes in a little less than we expect, or maybe the interest rate's a little lower than we forecast. And so there's extra money. So to the extent that there's extra money in debt service, the law requires that we put that in a separate fund. And unless the voters specify, allow us to use it for something else, it will be used to satisfy the district's debt. So that gives you a sense of the district's financial position, June of 24 versus what we're projecting for June of 25. Here's our calendar. We're again at the beginning of the process. Thank you to the board who approved our budget calendar in October. We've got our principals and directors and cabinet working on our initial budget. Right now, our principals are doing their building budgets, and we've submitted our initial BOCES budget. We just shared tonight budget assumptions. I hope on January 27th to come back to the board with the governor's budget proposal and the preliminary tax calculation. By the end of February, we'll have our initial budget complete, and we'll present that to the board. And we'll continue to give you updates through March with the goal of having the board approve the budget on April 21st, along with, the BOCES election and budget vote information. Heading toward a community presentations in April and early May, a budget hearing on May 13th, and then a budget vote on May 20th. Any questions or comments? Thank you.
All right, next up, we have Mr. Clark.
So I'll make this quick. This is a presentation on the Smart Schools Bond Act. Many of you have seen this presentation before, probably about 5 times before. This is the 6th. And the good news is this is probably the last one that you will see. This is part of the process to advancing. I'll come over here. So this is a little bit of agenda, but I'm going to go through today. But basically, Smart Schools, I can't believe it's been a decade since this money was made available. So back in 2014, we had a vote. The voters approved this Smart Schools Bond Act, and we were awarded a little over $6 million as a district to put towards technology. And having been at BOCES at this time, involved in instructional technology, this was a very large boost for getting the ball rolling with instructional technology. And so the purpose of the Smart Schools Bond Act was to kickstart instructional technology in the classroom. It provided for access. It provided for stuff in the classrooms around instructional technology, to construct infrastructure and get some of those security features in buildings. But it really was a boost in the arm for a lot of districts to really start to build up the infrastructure around instructional technology. These were some of the things that were in the Bond Act and allowed to be purchased. We need to work with non-public schools around some of this money as well. And that slide outlines exactly how we need to do that. It also shouldn't have had it can't have any impact on our tax levy. It can't have any impact on, how the school should, spend any money. This was money specifically designated for instructional technology. We have a technology committee that meets on a regular basis to discuss. We also have building level tech committees, and we have a district level tech committee that meets to discuss how the district's doing around technology and where some of these funds are spent. And really the mission of that technology committee is to make sure that the technology is being spread across the district. It's giving opportunities for students to learn and become productive citizens after they leave our district. And its also goal is to, basically just have a larger conversation around how technology is implemented, used, and distributed. So this is the status of the first 5 plans. They've all been implemented and equipment's been purchased and things have been installed. So this 6th and final plan, we basically had some monies left over, as we do with, cleaning up anything. We had some monies left over in some of the other buckets around our Smart Schools plan that we are in the process of moving into classroom technology. Once that is moved in, we'll have about a little over $316,000 to allocate towards ViewSonic boards. So the money that is left actually will round out our purchase of ViewSonics for the district. We've been on a regular, and M&O has been amazing with helping us install these. So we've had a few different large orders of ViewSonics, and Second Shift has been amazing helping us get those in. And so now we're looking to purchase another large shipment of ViewSonic boards to replace our smart boards, which are very quickly coming end of life. The projectors are dim, the boards are failing. So this last little chunk in this investment plan, the Smart Schools, will round out that purchase. And then we'll just need to, buy fewer here and there to replace broken and things like that. But this last big chunk of money will actually, it was amazing how it worked out almost to the exact amount that what we needed and what was available came out of this plan. So this is just the timeline. So this tomorrow I will post this presentation to the website. It'll have 30 days for public comment. And then we'll come back next month. We'll wrap that up and then I'll submit it to the state to approve that in the Smart Schools plan. Any questions? All right, great. Thank you.
Thank you, Jason. Okay, moving on to comments from the audience. We have none this evening. So we'll move on to Board of Education Committee reports. Anything, Mark?
Nothing new to report.
Mr. Crabtree?
We had an excellent legislative committee meeting on December 4th. Honored to have our Senator John Mannion, Congressman-elect, and our new Senator, State Senator Chris Ryan, and representatives from Elster Peace Office to listen to some of our concerns and where we're going. And I thought it was a very informative meeting. And I know Don's got a couple topics he would like to talk about next time, so it should be interesting. But the best part of it was the students. I enjoy the students on this committee, and we have about 5 or 6, including our wonderful board representative who brought up some things. And I just want the board to realize that safety is a big item with students. And I know we're looking into that, how we can improve our safety, but I was glad that the students came out and talked about where we're going there. So it was an excellent meeting. For the rest of the board, there is a New York School Boards Association live virtual capital conference with Paul, goes to every year. And I know Xavier was in the last virtual webinar. This is one that you will sign up with Jill. It's free for us. It's excellent. It's a morning to like 8:30, Paul, right to 12:30, but it deals with the commissioner. It deals with the New York School Boards Association, but finally with the governor's people. And it's interesting to listen to the governor's people. Now, we just received word, so put it on your calendar. The Central New York School Boards Association legislative breakfast will be on February 8th. And Jill will need to know if you're going. It hasn't been put out there yet, Jill, but you want to be prepared that I believe there is a cost there. I'm not sure for that breakfast. So I'm hoping that our new superintendent, Don Keegan, goes every year. I think Chris goes, and it's where we meet with our legislators. So our next meeting is the 8th of January.
Thank you. Mike?
Yeah, so we're getting close to the holidays here, and I guess as my time comes to a close as interim superintendent, I just really want to thank everyone for this great opportunity to serve in the district. You know, I've learned a lot from a lot of different people. It's been inspiring and a privilege to work along some outstanding educators, you know, staff, and inspiring students also. You know, the Board of Education, you know, thank you for trusting me in this position. And, you know, you have a great vision. You really make some outstanding decisions on what's best for the school, for the students and the community. And I think that's really important. And I see a lot of forward growth in the district. So again, you know, I just I appreciate all that you've done for me, and it's been a pleasure working here, and I'm going to continue to keep tabs on the district and check in, and I'll have fond memories of my time here. So thank you.
We have a little something for you. All the dedication. Not a good gift wrapper? Good. Yes, you have to unwrap it.
Unbag it is more like it.
I keep Rudy away from this.
Buffalo Bills
Yeah.
basket, because he likes the Buffalo Bills.
Well, you better hope he does.
No, I
He
wouldn't.
does, I know,
No, no, no.
I
he
know.
wouldn't have-
Born and raised a Buffalo Bills fan.
There you go.
Does Dr. Cook know that's missing from his office?
From his, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Bob, I didn't mean to jump over.
No, our superintendent's more important. So, only thing with BOCES is that, we had a wonderful administrative, dinner presented by our culinary students and, awesome student from CNS who knew how to carve the pork loin and the beef. He knew just how to tell the kid how to do it. But we honored all our administrators in our district. And that's about it.
Board of Education comments.
Just two little things. Bob, I just read yesterday, yeah, it was Sunday. The governor signed Friday the maximum heat bill in school buildings, which will be interesting. I think there's some clarification has yet to come out on that. I had brought something up a while ago. I just wanted to go into your email and do a search because it probably disappeared by now, but we had an email, board members did, of the movement of start school earlier came out. There are two bills last year that are gonna get new numbers for this year's legislative session. Just something I'd love the board's take on anyway, or maybe the legislative committee to see what the students think. It's minor adjustments. It's nothing you're gonna do overnight. There's a lot of moving pieces and a domino effect on what it might impact, but there's a lot of data out there on mental health that was endorsed by the American Psychological Association recently. Something worth looking at.
Right.
Thank
When,
you.
when you say start school early, you mean start times.
They're talking about, I'm
Right.
sorry, yeah, they're talking
Yeah.
about flipping the elementary and.
Right.
so
I mean, I know
everybody-
what they want. I just
Yeah.
wanted to clarify home. While some people are saying, well, we're going to start mid-August. No,
Start,
no, yeah.
and Start School Early is actually a group
Right.
that's out there in the state and they're maintaining for adolescents, which would be, I guess, our late middle, junior high and high school here would not start any earlier than 8:30. So it's a minor adjustment, then you flip in the earlier times for the elementary. I think it's done in a place,
Yes,
Those
Don's
reports
been
have been
doing
out
it.
for a long time.
Yeah.
It's just.
again,
Changes slow
I just
sometimes.
say this to be aware of. I understand that there are large number of moving pieces to this and it'd require a lot of stakeholders to look at it down the road if it's something we wanted to do, but the mental health data out there is pretty compelling. I picked up a lot of it at NSBA. That's why I've been looking at it since then. Thank you.
Anyone else?
And I don't want to take anything away from you because I know you've got a lot to ask, but a couple things. I had the privilege, I have the privilege to have about 5 students that are teaching in this district that were in my class. And one of them is Allison Salisbury, who is teaching the new course from a year ago, Adulting 101. This should have been when I was in high school, how to write a check, how to change a tire on my car. But one of the things they do is they have to do a resume. Each child in that classroom, student, has to do a resume. And about 40 to 50 people came in to interview them. So I had the privilege of interviewing 4 young ladies who want to be teachers. They were phenomenal. One was going to be preschool. One is going to be a chemistry teacher. And she's working with the chemistry teacher at the high school, doing all these extra things. I was just amazed at the ability. And I said, come to North Syracuse, in 4 years, because you really did a good job. The other things are concerts. As you know, our director went to Allen Road. I have the privilege of going on Wednesday to see their program. I got invited. But the chorus concert is this Thursday at the junior high. That's it.
Yeah, I'd just like to piggyback on a little bit on what Bob said. We had the legislative meeting. It was a very impressive meeting. There were 24 people in that meeting. I mean, that room was full. And a lot of the concerns of the students, and they spoke up, they weren't shy about it, was the security aspect. And this is my personal feelings, but I feel somewhat as an older adult, we have let these kids down. These kids should not feel this way going to school. And we shouldn't have to put up cement walls and steel barriers and everything else to make these kids feel secure at school. And I hope we can find some type of solution for these kids. That's just my personal feeling coming out of that meeting. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Okay, so I wanted to say thank you to Mr. Crabtree for mentioning the concert because that was going to be the first thing I was going to talk about. So just to skip that, I wanted to also observe and like shout out the National Honor Society at CNS High School for collecting boxed and canned goods. I think we collected over 100. We got a lot of donations, so that was definitely a great initiative that I'm glad we did for the holidays. And now I want to talk about the musical at our school. This past week, there's been auditions for our musical, which is going to be called Once Upon a Mattress, which is kind of like Princess and the Pea. And I just want to say congratulations to everyone who auditioned and who made it into the musical. And I'm excited to definitely see all the showings of that. And there's not much going on before holiday break, but I just want to say lastly, the Human Rights Club, we're still collecting items for New Americans, and we went through our donations, what we got so far, and I have like a concentrated list of items that we're still collecting that are still in demand that I can definitely email to you guys if you guys are still interested in donating. And I just hope you all have a great holiday break, and that's all I had to say. Thank you.
Okay, we'll move into routine action items. Do I have a motion to place the minutes from December 2nd? Paul and Josh, any questions? All in favor? I'd like to place B, C, and D together, the consideration of classification and placement of students. Do I have a motion to place those three together before us? Xavier and Josh, any questions? All those in favor? That's unanimous. Thank you. Discussion action items. We have a couple of bargaining unit agreements tonight. The first one is to approve the agreement between the North Syracuse Central School District and North Syracuse Teacher Aid Unit. Do I have a motion to place that before us? Josh? Mark, any questions? Those in favor? Second is to approve the agreement between the North Syracuse Central School District and the North Syracuse Office Personnel Unit. Do I have a motion to place that? Josh? Are there any questions? All those in favor? And to approve the agreement between the North Syracuse Central School District and the North Syracuse Academic Directors Association. Do I have a motion to place that before us? Bob, second from Mark. Any questions? All those in favor? That is unanimous. Thank you. Next, we have the acknowledgement of a gift from the American Federation of Teachers. It's the Micron Grant for $29,982 that will go towards the implementation of the Advanced Technology Framework. Do I have a motion to acknowledge that gift? Matt, second from Paul. Any questions? All those in favor? That's unanimous, and as always, we appreciate the resolution to create a program, a teaching assistant for Allen Road Elementary School 811 program. Do I have a motion to place that motion for the position before us? Josh and Xavier, any questions or comments? All those in favor? That is unanimous. Thank you. Next, we want to approve the intermunicipal agreement for law enforcement security services between the North Syracuse Central School District and the County of Onondaga. This is for our Onondaga County Sheriff SROs. Do I have a motion to place that before us? Paul and Mark, any questions? All in favor? And we have a resolution to reject the bids for the CNS pool construction, bids in excess of budget. Do I have a motion to place that before us?
Can we?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't understand that specifically, but can we let the people at home know why we're rejecting something?
Yeah, I just have to, we have to get a motion before we talk about it.
Oh, okay. I thought we had to talk about it first.
No,
That's all.
Josh, Xavier. All right.
I can just quickly explain if that's all right. So we opened the bids and the HVAC, electrical and plumbing bids were fine, but the general construction bid, that's the bid that's going to actually build the shell for the building, was much higher than we expected and kind of blew the budget. So we went back with our architects and our construction manager, and they're evaluating some opportunities to cut the costs of that, and we'll rebid it in January with hopes to award it in February. The good news is it won't put us off schedule because what we're doing right now is the foundation, and we weren't planning on doing the general construction work until the spring. So we have plenty of time to redo the bids and see what we
Oh,
got.
thank you. I mean, that's the gist of it. I get it, but I just was afraid the people at home were going to go panic mode on us. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. That's good. Thank you that you asked.
All those in favor? All right, I didn't mean to cut you off. Before we get into personnel, I have some retirements to announce. We've got Susan Garrett, an AIS elementary teacher, is retiring with 33.7 years of service. Carol Guido, a speech therapist, is retiring with 38 years of service. Amy Haven, an art teacher, is retiring with 23 years of service. Christopher Menke, a technology instructional coach, is retiring with 32 years of service. Susan Martinetti is a special education teacher, retiring with 17 years of service. Jeannie McKee, teaching assistant, is retiring with 17 years of service. And Beatrice Spiker is retiring with 20 years of service. So we wish all of these staff members a long, happy, and healthy retirement. And thank you for your many, many years of dedication and service to this district and to our community. Do I have a motion to accept instructional personnel report A as submitted? Josh and Mark, any questions? All those in favor? Unanimous? Do I have a motion to accept personnel supports staff B as submitted? Xavier and Josh, any questions? All in favor? And a motion to approve administrative personnel reports C as submitted. Josh, any questions? All those in favor? Unanimous, thank you. At this time, I will make a motion to move into executive session for the purpose of reviewing one negotiation matter with no action to follow and 6 personnel matters with no action to follow. Do I have a second? Xavier, any questions? All those in favor? That's unanimous. And do I have a motion to adjourn? Paul and Mark, all those in favor? That's, thank you.